Welcome back to part 2 of how we're going to mold some Barbie shoes. This is probably the part that everybody's been waiting for. So first of all, we definitely need to protect our surface that we're working on. We've got to always remember safety first because it's very strong chemicals that we are working with. So besides wearing some latex gloves, we definitely need to use a mask to protect us from the chemical fumes. Then we've got our mold. It's nice and demolded, nice and clean, and we're going to use that to make the Barbie shoes. And then we've got some stirring sticks. We've got our coloring component, which is smooth on. We're going to use the green. And then I use the smooth cast components A and B. It's a 60D. And what is nice about this is that it actually gives you a little bit longer pot life to work with. Just please remember to protect your surface. It might get spoiled. And here we go. Alright, so we're going to start our molding process. I have got some extra cups that we're going to do the mixing in. And I've got our syringe. So what is very important is to always read the instructions of the chemicals that you are going to use. So we're going to start with the part B of the Smooth Cast 60D. I've made small holes into the bottle so that it's a little bit more controlled. It is quite thick. Part A is not as thick. And then we just pour it in. Very important, so with the Smooth Cast 60D, we've got to make sure that we have exactly the same amount of part A and part B. And once we've got that in place, then we can start with our pigment. So I'm using the UVO green. The pigment is quite strong and it's very difficult to get out of your hands. So what I want to achieve with this is make shoes that looks almost like ice-like. So I'm going to just use a very tiny amount. So we want the shoes to almost look fit for an ice queen. So just a little drop of the green pigment. Now the Smooth Cast 60D is naturally very see-through, so it almost comes out like a milky, glossy type of color. So as you can see, our 60D is now a little bit more green. I just want to add a little drop more just to get a proper icy color on display here. Okay, there's a bit more pigment, so you can see that we actually use very little of the pigment. And very important, you put your pigment in the part B and to stir it. It's got to be stirred extremely well. So I'm just going to, for the stirring part, use the back of my society sticks just to get it in there nicely. You can also use tongue depressors, whatever is good for you to stir with. Just if you use kitchen utensils, you might want to dispose of those after the molding, so it's best to use something that you are not going to miss. Alright, so there's our pigment. It's nicely mixed into our part B. And then we're going to mix part B with part A. So there we go. Make sure that we get everything in there. And even though the pot life is still a bit longer than the other chemicals that I've used before, we've got to work as fast as what we can before the chemicals start setting in. So we're just going to give that a good stir. Very important to mix it nicely, otherwise the shoes might get sticky or it might not come out out of the molds, and then you've got to throw your molds away, and it's a lot of work to do the molds. So there we go. I think that's mixed quite well through. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use our syringe, and what I like to do is just give it a good inhale and just exhale again and inhale, just so that we are making 100% sure that it is mixed right through. And then we're going to start with our molds. So I like to start with the heels and just slowly inject it until you can see that it's filled the hole nicely. I always put a little bit extra, we just cut that off afterwards, but it's best to do a little bit extra because sometimes there is some air bubbles that comes out afterwards. And there we go, some more. That's it. We can do a couple more shoes. There we go. So it's quite an easy process. And it is a lot of fun. It's very satisfying to see the end product. There we go, just to make sure they don't have any air bubbles. Let's just make sure that there's enough component in there. Just to get rid of all those air bubbles. You can see it's still coming out. It's also good just to give it a bit of a squeeze so that you do get rid of those air bubbles, especially when it's in the heels, then you're going to have to throw the shoes away. So we don't want that. But we want the component to go in everywhere. Right, and then we've got our boots left. I'm quite excited to see what these come out like. The original were hiking boots for Barbie. So now let's see if we can make some snowy hiking boots. And you can see the air bubbles coming out everywhere. Right. And then we might have enough component for a little handbag. So let's try this one. Let's see. Oh, we might even have enough for another handbag. Let's see what it comes out like. There we go. And just to fill up wherever it looks. And that is basically the molding process. A lot of fun. And now we're going to wait for about 30 minutes for it to set, and then we will demold, and hopefully our shoes will come out nice and successful. And there we go. I think we are about ready so that we can demold. And it's very important to loosen up the items in your mold. And if it's still a little bit soft, maybe just leave it in there a bit. I see these ones are a little bit softer than the other ones. So we're going to just loosen it up slightly. Don't want to damage the molds either. There we go. So let's start. Let's see what our handbag's going to look like. There we go, we've got a handbag with a little bit of gold dust on it. So for the gold dusting, I just use a little bit of powder. And there we go, there's our little handbag. Came out quite nice. Now let's see if we can get a shoe out. Apologies for moving the camera. It's quite a bit of a process to get the shoes out. There we go, just loosen it up slightly. And there we go, these are first boots out. So yeah, I think Barbie can go and have a holiday at the ski resort with these. I'm quite happy with the way that they came out. There we go. So I'm going to demold these and then I'll check in with you after the molding is completed. And there we go. After a bit of demolding, this is our end product. So we've got 2 handbags, we've got a couple of pairs of shoes. And I'm quite happy with the way that it came out. I'm sure Barbie's going to have a fabulous ski holiday with her new shoes. For my next video, I think I'm going to show you guys how to work with the gold dust. And here are some examples of shoes that I've made already in a little handbag. And yeah, so I hope you guys look forward to my next video. Please like and subscribe. Click if you would like to receive notifications. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.